Guys, did you know my favorite hormone, testosterone, starts to decrease around the age of 30? The production continues to drop about 1% a year. That is why our friends at Roman have formulated their own supplements with transparent and scientifically backed ingredients to support testosterone production. Roman's testosterone supplement is for anyone who wants to support their body's natural function. Guys, getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Chael. You're going to receive $15 off your first order with free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/Chael. The one thing that has been a little bit missed, okay, in Gaethje versus Ferguson, the one thing that's been a little bit missed is Conor was supposedly on ice going to wait for Khabib. Now, we have not been very bullish on that idea over here at You're Welcome. Because, first off, Khabib has to fight Tony and beat him, go through Ramadan, come back, which somebody speculated to be September. I don't know where the September date came from because I looked into Ramadan, which is like a month, or it was 28 days, so I don't totally know where that came from, but Khabib had shed some light on it, which was fascinating, that apparently with some of the traditions of Ramadan involves some fasting, where traditionally Khabib's body has essentially lost weight, lost muscle mass, deteriorated. Is that too extreme of a word? So he has said that he would need X amount of time after this holiday to then just get back to himself to then go into training camp. How much of that story I just told accurately? I probably got 90% of it. But I do think that it sheds a level of light, even if a broad stroke, on why the proposed September return. But that's relevant. It's relevant to the story because then we are to make believe that Conor McGregor sits out until September. Armed with the fact that we just saw on January 20th the power of Conor McGregor. To remind you guys, when he fought Cowboy on January 20th, that date was not on the books. Conor McGregor was not licensed. Conor McGregor was a 155-pounder. Conor McGregor was not known if he was going to return. Conor McGregor makes a phone call, says, I'm going to do all of those damn things, and I'm ready to go, and they made a show. That's relevant. Because if you understand the power and how fast they sold out and what the gate did and how great Conor Mania was, the very real thing that this was, not speculation, not promoter, not Conor out there telling his story, real quantifiable fact. And then you're supposed to just believe that he's going to sit out until September? And then all signs pointed, as hard as that was to believe, all signs pointed to the fact that that's what was going to happen. Okay. That's one hell of a risk, in my opinion. I mean, that's just step one. To get Khabib through Tony, that is one hell of a risk. And don't forget the timeline. At the time that we're told Conor's next fight is going to be with Khabib at the earliest of September was on January 20th, and the Khabib-Tony fight wasn't scheduled until April 18th. So you're going to burn 4 months just to find out if your bet was even right before you book. I just thought it was hard to believe. But we saw no other clues. We saw no other clues. And the Conor Masvidal was a very real talk. All of a sudden, Masvidal gets signed to fight for the world championship with Kamaru. And so, okay, well, what happens if Khabib and Tony falls through, as it has 4 times before? Is that what they're kind of waiting to play the Conor card for? No. Gaethje stepped forward. Then it did fall through. Then Gaethje steps up. And then I understand you've got all the weirdness and you got all of these cards delayed. I understand all of these things. But there was no more talk that Conor was going to come back before September against Khabib, which I suppose we could then make the leap of faith to believe would be the winner of Khabib-Tony. But either way that Conor sits out. Now, the reason I give you this timeline, because we have such short memories, and it may not come as you a surprise today what's going on, but this is very relevant. The fact that Gaethje is now in, the fact that an interim championship is going to be fought for, which does in many ways preserve Khabib over here. So if you tried to insert the Conor piece and keep that fight intact, imagine the pushback that there's going to be if Tony is not given that fight. Okay, fine. I'm not suggesting that will happen. All I'm laying out for you is a factual timeline, and we're going to have to see what happens. And if we're not going to play the Conor Khabib card, if we're not just going to take everything at some point away from Tony or take it all from Gaethje and put Conor and Khabib together in September, okay? If we're not going to do that, which let's hope to hell we don't do that, how unfair, then what do you do with Conor? And what do you do with Khabib? And if you think the Khabib question is answered, I wouldn't disagree with you that Khabib is going to fight the winner of Gaethje and Tony. I wouldn't disagree with you. You're still left with, what do you do with Conor? And there's only so many things you can throw to Conor McGregor. There's only so many things that you can do and still be responsible. Do you guys remember when Jon Jones went through his big hurricane and they stripped him of the title, and some guys were saying he shouldn't even be able to fight for the title. He shouldn't even be a main event. Remember when that was going on as like a way to punish Jon Jones? The other side of that coin, if you're not putting Jon Jones in a world title fight, who are you putting him with that's responsible? Jon Jones will hurt you if you are the baddest dude in the world. He will hurt you if you are a number one contender. Not he will beat you. Jon Jones will send your ass to the hospital. So if you're matchmaking a fight and you want to punish Jon Jones, you're going to put him against the number 8 guy to punish him. You know what Jon Jones will do to the number 8 guy in the world? Have you ever thought about it from that perspective? You have to show that same respect to Conor McGregor. You guys can be as much of haters as you... Go ahead. That's part of being a fan. I'm just sharing with you from a responsibility standpoint. Conor will start your ass in the first round if you're a world champion. He will put you out of there in the first round. You cannot just come in somewhere in the deck and stick a guy in there with Conor and then try to tell the world, oh no, I'm going to do this because this sells and it's good for business. It doesn't work that way. That guy has got to be able to defend himself to the highest of levels. So I come back to the question. If the winner of Tony and Gaethje, I'm not making a prediction. If Tony is going to go on and fight Khabib and those players are off the board, if Kevin Lee is going to go up to 170 pounds, if Justin Gaethje is going to go from a high and then, kind of go hang out for a little bit, which is very common. It's a very common thing. We're seeing Dustin Poirier had to deal with a little bit of that. Fighting for world championships, loses the title. Oh, man, what do I do now? That's a real thing that you go through as a fighter. Should Gaethje go through that, who do you put Conor with? And as tough and loaded as 155 is, I simply don't have the answer. Does he stay at 170? Is that the way you make a responsible fight? You make him give up size, you make him go into a different weight class, which at least in theory would protect the opponent in some bit. By that time, if we're looking at a September return, do we now have resolution to Usman Masvidal, and all of a sudden that becomes the talk now that Khabib is off the table? Do you guys see where this gets really interesting really fast? The storylines are everything. I mean, they really are. You have a conflict, the punches and kicks in the unified rules will bring resolution to the conflict. But isn't that really what's fun here? I mean, isn't that really what's fun is the drama? The story, the who's going to go where and why. And nobody's been calling out Conor. Now, Conor's the hottest ticket in town, right? You know Conor's expression for fighting him. Red blank night. I mean, you know the Conor expression. He's right. It's a very real thing. Nobody's calling Conor out. Why? Because everybody believes that Conor was on ice until September to take on the winner of Tony and Khabib. Now that is disrupted, it is stunning to me that nobody has broken down the math until I did it just now and realized Conor's fair game. The hottest ticket in town now does not have a dance partner. This is the time to strike. You want in the Conor business, be the only one trying to get in the Conor business. And now the question does become, does he go to 55 or does he go to 70? And I'm going to ask it of you guys, because Conor doesn't give a damn. Conor will fight it. There's no problem there. Say whatever you about Conor McGregor. Don't tell me he's scared to get in a fist fight. So now the question does become, would you guys rather see Conor sit out, eventually come into a title fight once the winner of Gaethje and Tony settles business with Khabib early as September? Would you rather see him fight for a title there, which means you don't see Conor until a best case scenario of December? Or would you rather say to hell with it and right now be very clear that Conor McGregor is now the number one contender at 170 pounds and will face the winner of Usman Masvidal?